Hello everyone, my name is Alexander Thorns, but you can call me Sasha. And welcome to the second part of my water type continuation run. On the last part, I defeated Pokémon Blue using only water types. And before I begin the run, let me lay down some rules. I'll be playing with the standard Nuzlocke rules, meaning I can only catch one water type per route. If a Pokémon faints, it has to be boxed forever, and no wheeling items in battle. To add to the standard rules, I have my own personal rules, because this is a continuation run, so can only use 4 Pokémon per team, and the Pokémon that survived the last game's Elite Four get transferred to the next generation, and get to keep 1 TM that I previously taught them. And without further ado, let me introduce you my champions. Blastoise, my first starter that's going to be devolved into a Squirtle and retain the TM Ice Beam. This Squirtle will be added to my team when I get the Pokédex. Gyarados, my second encounter on the last run, is turning back into a Magikarp that I can add to my team after the first match, and is going to have the TM for Body Slam. The literal star of the last run, the monster Starmie, that is going to turn into a Staryu, holding a Water Stone, and retain the TM for Thunderbolt. Last, and kinda least, is Tentacruel, that didn't do much last run. Maybe this is going to be his moment to shine. He's turning into a Tentacool with the move Toxic. Now, both Starmie and Tentacool can only join the team after the 4th match. One important thing about this Pokémon is that if one of them faints, the entire evolutionary line is banned from this continuation. With that out of the way, Generation 2 added some new encounters and brings some old encounters back, much of the Generation 1 being available. I start my new adventure in New Barktown, where I can choose my starter, and this being a water type run, I get to keep my starter, this one being a Totodile. After obtaining my second starter, I go on a fetch quest to Mr. Pokémon and receive the mystery egg, and on the way back I meet my new rival. Here's to hoping this one doesn't give me as much trouble as the last one. With the first rival battle done and the egg delivered, I receive my Pokédex, and with that my former starter, Squirtle, joins the team, giving me 2 Pokémon on the team. With my team in hand, I make my way to Violet City, the location of the first match, and immediately head into it because Falkner has remarkably low-level Pokémon. And to be fair, his team can be fairly annoying with Sand Attack and Mud Slap, decreasing my accuracy. However, my first starter is special. It already knows the move Ice Beam. With Falkner being a flying type expert, you can see where this is going. Both PJ and Pidgeotto fault 1 and 2 Ice Beams respectively. With the first badge in hand, Magikarp is able to join the team, but I decide against that for now because given that the first gym gives me access to Route 32, where I can get my next encounter, a Wooper. Route 32 isn't done giving yet, because in the Pokémon Center, next to the entrance of Union Cave, this gentleman gives me the Old Rod, and if you are like me, you thought the Old Rod could only fish out Magikarps, which I can't catch, given that it is one of my former champions. However, there's a small chance that it fishes out other. As a kid, I honest to God didn't know that. I only found this out while researching and preparing for this run. So, in Cherry Grove City, after a while, I fish out a Krabby. On Route 30, I fish out a Poliwag. In the Union Cave, I get a Golden, and in Slowpoke Well, I can get a Slowpoke. No surprises there. Now, I have to face the second gym leader, Bugsy, the bug type specialist. So, after leveling up my team, Squirtle evolves into a Wartortle. I settle on a team of Wartortle, Totodile, Poliwag and Wooper for this battle. I lead Poliwag in his Metapod, and with 3 water guns, the green Cocoon goes down. Kakuna is next, and because I know Kakuna likes to spend Poison Sting, I stay in with Poliwag, tag him with 2 water guns to lower the HP, getting poison in the process, then connect with an Hypnosis, giving me the opportunity to bring Wartortle in safely, to knock out a Kakuna and faces that Pokemon Cypher without being poisoned. With Cypher being weak to Watt's type moves, and Wartortle being full health, I can safely fire 3 Ice Beams to take down the Praying Mantis and receive my second badge. With the second badge in hand, I have to fight my rival before making my way into the Helix Forest. He leads with his Ghastly, and I send out Poliwag, which fires a water gun for a little bit of damage, and Ghastly goes for a lick, paralyzing my Tadpole. The turn after, I get tagged with another Leak, but luckily don't get paralyzed and connect with an Hypnosis, allowing me to get a crit Water Gun in and safely switch to Wartortle. The next turn, I finish the Ghost with a single Water Gun, allowing Wartortle to face Bayleaf with full health, which is exactly what I wanted, because now I can safely fire an Ice Beam with Bayleaf setting up a Reflect. The next turn, Wartortle takes a non-crit Razor Leaf for 50% health, and I can defeat the Leaf with another Ice Beam. After that, Zubat comes in, but gets turned into a Bat Popsicle with a single Ice Beam, giving me the victory against my rival. With that battle dealt with, and Ilex Forest completed, netting me the Cut HM and Headbutt, great TM, I can clean up all the trainers in the following routes, allowing my starter Totodile to evolve into a Croconaw. And my Wooper evolves into a Quagsire, and honestly, look at this little derp, I love it so much. After collecting some good TMs, I make the decision to deposit Poliwag and get another champion on the team, this one being Magikarp, that I evolve into a Gyarados. Welcome back to the team, buddy. With all the side quests completed, it's time for the third gym battle. Against the normal type expert, Whitney. She leads with a Clefairy, I lead with Gyarados, which goes for a Body Slam for 90% damage and in return takes a very weak Double Slam. Another Body Slam takes the Future Fairy down, bringing in its infamous Miltank. This mon is a menace to deal with, usually. On the first turn, I go for another Body Slam, trying to feature a Paralyze, which I don't get, and she hits me with a Stomp. Fearing a rollout against my Flying type, I switch to Quagsire that resists that move and can cancel it with a Dig, which I thought via TM. However, I decide to go for a Headbutt first, hoping for a quick Claw proc, which I don't get, but at least I get some damage in. The next turn I can go for Dig, which cancels Miltank rollout, putting her into the red, causing Miltank to go for a Milk Drink, regaining its health. What comes next is a spam of Dig and Headbutt because Miltank can't really touch Quagsire, giving me an easy victory against Whitney. After Whitney stops crying, I can collect my third badge and get access to the Squirt Bottle to move the blocking Sudowoodo, giving me access to Ecruteak City, the location of the next gym badge. However, before I face Morty, I have some things to take care of. First, I need to defeat my rival once again, for a very special reason. In this battle, the rival leads with his Haunter, and I lead Gyarados clicking super effective Bite for around 50%, and Haunter gives me a hand and takes himself out with Curse. Next comes in Magnemite, and against an electric type, Gyarados is in danger, so I switch into my ground type Quagsire, being immune to the incoming Thundershock, and I'm able to defeat it with a single Dig. Afterwards, Bayleaf comes in, and since I don't want to risk a crit Razor Leaf, I switch to Gyarados, Grass being neutral against him thanks to his part Flying type, and my switch worked since I take negligible damage from the Razor Leaf on the switch. Body Slam is just shy of 50%, but leaves Bayleaf paralyzed, stopping her from moving in the same turn. Another Body Slam puts her on low health, allowing her to go for another weak Razor Leaf, but nonetheless my fake dragon can take the Leaf Dino with another Body Slam down. Zubat is the last member of my rival's team, and a single Body Slam takes care of the blind bat, giving me the victory and allowing me to fulfill my objective in the Burn Tower, awakening the legendary Beats. And let me intervene for a bit. If you look in the description, you'll notice that I don't have a rule against using legendaries, meaning that if I find Suicune on a route where I haven't caught a Pokémon yet, I am free to try my luck at a catch. Since this is my first Nuzlocke on the channel, I want to allow myself to use any type of Pokémon I can. This is a continuation log, so it has some things easier, but some other things can be harder, and I just want to play the game and use whatever the game can give me. Afterwards, I can defeat the Kimono Girls and acquire the Surf HM, which is just great for everyone in my team. With that, I can acquire a Mint Berry, which is a no-brainer to get for the next gym badge, and in Olivine I can get Strength and a good route, allowing me to fish for a Corsola at Route 40. With everything taken care of, I can finally face Morty, the Ghost-type trainer. This battle can get annoying really quickly if you are not prepared. Morty's first mon is a Ghastly, and I send out Wartortle, clicking Bite that takes Ghastly out after he goes for a Curse. In comes his first Haunter, and I decide to take the risk and click Bite which goes unpunished because Hunter misses an hypnosis and Bite deals around 70%. Wartortle taking 25% from the curse. I decide to risk it again, but Hunter connects with an hypnosis, putting my champion turtle to sleep, forcing me to switch. After taking another 25% damage, Gyarados comes in, and after taking 21 damage from Nightshade, Bite takes the Armless Ghost out. Mortis Ace is next, that being a Gengar. I click Bite for some damage, but Hypnosis connects again, forcing me to activate my strategy. Switching to Quagsire on a failed Dream Meter, I click Dig on the next turn, and Gengar misses on an Hypnosis. The turn after, Dig hits, just shy of the KO, allowing Gengar to connect with an Hypnosis the next turn. But because I gave Quagsire the Mint Berry, the sleep is immediately cured, allowing Quagsire to burrow on the ground once again and taking Gengar down in the next turn. His final Haunter comes in, but it is only able to connect with a weak Nightshade and gets sent to an early grave with another Dig. Morty defeated. With the 4th badge acquired, I can use Surf out of battle, allowing me to backtrack to Ilex Forest and grab a Psyduck. And for this section, that's all I need to do. I can immediately face the 5th gym leader, Chuck, with Croconaw evolving into Feraligatr in the meantime. Chuck is a fighting type expert, that starts with a Primate and I go for Gyarados. Choosing Body Slime for 90% damage and taking a weak Karate Chop in return, with another Body Slam doing the trick. In comes his Haze, a Poliwrath, and with nothing to lose, I go for a Body Slam for some damage, and get the Paralyze, allowing Poliwrath to connect with the Mind Reader. After a second Body Slam that leaves Poliwrath in the red, he connects with an Hypnosis, forcing me to switch into Feraligatr, and with 2 scratches, the Rolling Swirl goes down. Why did I choose Scratch over anything else? Man, I don't know. At this point it was like 4 AM and I was fighting to keep my eyes open. Nonetheless, I go unpunished and get my 5th gym badge. With that section done, I can collect a secret potion to heal Amphi, and this is where I change the course of the game, because I usually defeat Price before Jasmine, simply because his level cap is 31 while Jasmine is 35. So after getting to the Lake of Rage and capturing the shiny Gyarados, I plan on adding it to my shiny collection. I help Lance commit 1st degree murder with his Dragonite and enter the Rocket Hideout, where they are sending a radio signal to force Pokémon to evolve. Wait, does this mean that this Gyarados is an illegal shiny? Huh. While pondering on the ethic and moral dilemma of forcing Pokémon to be shiny, I can defeat the Team Rocket, collect the 2 passwords, and with the help of Quagsire I can defeat the 3 electrodes that are powering the radio signal machine. With that taken care of, and with the trauma of watching a man be obliterated by an Hyper Beam, it's time to face Price. He leads with a Seal, and I lead with Gyarados. Once again, 2 Body Slams take the White Seal down, it only hitting a weak Icy Wind in return. Diogong comes in the next turn, and once again 2 Body Slams take it down, with the first one paralyzing it. Piloswine is Price's ace and final Pokemon, and with it being part ground type, 3 Surfs take care of it, with Price using an Hyper Potion and Piloswine hitting a 4-hit Fury attack. With that, I got my 6th badge! After Price, I can immediately make a beeline to Jasmine. With the newly learned Earthquake, Quagsire can destroy her team, taking both Magnemite down with an Earthquake and Steelix with a Surf. Easy gym is easy. After Jasmine, I get the call that Team Rocket have taken over the radio tower in Goldenrod City, so I had to kick some Rocket butt, hopefully without any murder this time. So, after climbing the tower and my champion started evolving into a Blastoise, hello there buddy again, defeating the Rocket Executive and this team of coughing, giving me the basement key. Then I can get to the basement, defeat the rival, this time it being so easy, there's no need to retell the battle. I can find the radio director to get the card key and climb the radio tower once again to face another Rocket Executive and drown his Fire Dogs, saving the day. With Team Rocket defeated, once again I can make my way to the Ice Path, where I can get the HM Force Waterfall and exit at the location of the final Johto Gym, Blackthorn City, where I need to face Claire, the Dragon Tamer. Luckily for me, My oldest champion knows Ice Beam, meaning my Dragon Slayer Blastoise can take care over 3 Dragonairs with 3 Ice Beams. Afterwards, Kingdra comes in, and this Pokemon can be super annoying to deal with, especially with Smoke Screen to lower my Pokemon's accuracy. Nonetheless, I click Ice Beam for some damage and actually get a crit for around 70%. For that, I get nailed with a Hyper Beam for 30%, and on the recharge turn I hit another Ice Beam. This time not a crit, and Kingdra survives on a Slither, meaning Claire is free to go for a Hyper Potion, bringing Kingdra back to full HP. This means I need 3 more Ice Beams to take the Weird Dragon down. However, I don't get to do that, because Kingdra connects with another Hyper Beam, and because I don't want to risk my oldest team member, I switch into my other champion, this being Gyarados, which takes Kingdra down with a final body slam. After Claire stops being a little bitch, forcing me to find the Dragon Scale, I get my 8th and final gym badge, allowing me to go for the Pokémon League and face the Elite Four. Before arriving at the Pokémon League, I need to teach my rival another lesson, but because my Pokémon are somewhat overleveled compared to him, Gyarados takes care of Haunter and Meganium, and Quagsire deals with the rest of his team. However, before I start the battle with the Elite Four, I have some planning to do. There are 2 things bugging me about this team. First, I have 2 mono water types in my team, that being Blastoise, my original starter, and Feraligatr, and truth be told, I need some variety, and Feraligatr, as cool as it looks, isn't the most useful team member. Second, I have no guaranteed answer to Koga's Fortress, a Pokemon that can threaten with a KO with its explosion or just be a nuisance to deal with. Luckily, I have an answer. One of the earliest encounters of this run, and the mon that I briefly used in my last Nuzlocke, Slowpoke, which after trading it while holding a King's Rock that I got from another wild Slowpoke, it evolves into a Slowking, and this is my answer to Koga. With its part Psychic type, it threatens Poison types, whom my only answer was Quagsire, and in the game corner after gambling my life savings away, I can get a TM for Fire Blast. Although not the most accurate move, it's a guaranteed KO against Koga's Fortress, and gives this team the variety it needs. The first member of this Elite Four is Will, the Psychic type specialist. He leads with a Xatu, and I send out my longtime friend Blastoise, which deals with a Clairvoyant Bird with a single Ice Beam. Executor is his next Pokemon, and it falls to the power of Ice Beam, bringing in Jinx, which falls to 2 Surfs, only hitting a very weak Double Slap in return. Slowbro is the next opponent, and I don't really have much of an answer to it. So I decide to spam Bite, dealing a little less than 50% with the first one, but Slowbro goes for Amnesia, increasing his special defense, meaning Bite is going to start doing a lot less damage, because yes, Dark type is a special type in generations 1, 2 and 3 before the physical special split, meaning I have to hit 3 more bites to take this dumb hippo down, getting a flinch on the second one and getting hit with a Psychic for around 20% after the third one. With that, Will's last Pokemon is another Xatu that gets the same treatment as his brother. The second member of the Elite Four is Koga, which leads with the Ariados. And I choose Quagsire, clicking Earthquake right away, staying just shy of the KO, allowing the Red Spider to go for a double team. Next turn, I click Headbutt hoping to hit, and Quagsire the Madman delivers, bringing the Arachnophobia-inducing Pokemon down. Koga's next choice is his Venomoth, and I decide to stay in and go for an Earthquake. However, Venomoth outspeeds and connects with a Supersonic, confusing my buddy, making him eat itself. Next turn, Quagsire gets badly poisoned from Toxic and hits himself in confusion. Again, come on buddy, pick it up. Next, Venomoth goes for a Psychic and obviously gets a secondary special defense drop because reasons. However, Quagsire gets fed up with his shenanigans, breaking through confusion and nailing the annoying Moth with a one-hit KO Earthquake. Good riddance. Next up is Fortress, and it's time to put my new king to the test. So I swap Slowking in a Protect and click the 70% accurate move Fire Blast, which connects, taking the Brain Walnut down in a single move. Not bad for a debut. Crobat is next, and I stay in, hoping to connect with a Psychic that Slowking learns by level up. But my 30 base speed is nothing compared to Crobat's base 130, meaning it can go for a double team, causing my new friend to miss its move. Next turn, Crobat sets up another double team, but Slowking locks in and beams the bat and his Kagebunshin's down with a single Psychic. Koga's final member is Muck, that also enjoys increasing his evasion with Minimize, which, as foretold by the prophecy, it clicks. But this time Slowking connects with the first Psychic being just shy of the KO, and the next turn Muck connects with a Toxic, but Slowking delivers another Psychic, giving me the W. Bruno is the next one, and I got beef with this guy. Not gonna lie, that feature hit from the last Nuzlocke is still haunting my dreams. Nonetheless, he leads with Hitmontop, which actually caught me by surprise, since I was expecting Onix to be his lead, which is why I led with Quagsire. I quickly swap for Slowking, and Hitmontop goes on the ground preparing his dig. I click Swagger, knowing I'll be slower, so after taking very low damage from dig, Swagger connects, but to no avail since Hitmontop breaks through confusion, burrowing on the ground again. At this, I click Psychic on a damaging turn. That never happens because Hitmontop hits himself in confusion, being forced above ground only to get slammed by a Psychic, taking it down. In hindsight, I should have just clicked Psychic, but given how this turned out, I regret nothing. Hitmonchan is next, and after hitting a laughable Thunder Punch, gets mind-fucked by a Psychic, taking it down. Machamp is the next Pokémon, and at the sight of those 4 muscular arms, the nightmares re-emerge. However, this time there is no facial threat, because he doesn't have it. So on a botched rock slide, the king hits up Psychic, leaving Machamp with a slither of HP, causing Bruno to go for a max potion, which only delays the inevitable. So after a flinchless rock slide, Slowking can take the 4-armed brute down. Onix enters the battlefield, and after a weak earthquake, the rock snake gets run with a surf, leaving only Hitmonlee left, which I intended to go for a Psychic, only for me to realize I'm out of PP. For that, I should pay more attention. On that mistake, I pivot out for Gyarados on a weak double kick, and after clicking Body Slam and leaving Hitmonlee at very low HP, it retaliates with a Swagger. Because I don't want to risk hitting myself, I once again swap, this time for Blastoise, ending the battle with one Surf. Messy, but I got the victory. Karen is the third Elite Four member that I have to face, and she leads with an Umbreon, a very awesome and annoying Pokemon to deal with. And I send out my violence machine Gyarados, clicking Body Slam for 35% HP, hoping for a para, which I don't get. Umbreon goes for a Sand Attack, which doesn't help me much since Gyarados connects with a second Body Slam, leaving Umbreon in the red, and dodges another Sand Attack. At this point, I'm expecting a Confuse Ray from this Hex machine, so I make the prediction and switch for Blastoise, fearing a Body Slam miss, and I was correct. Confuse Ray connects, and now I can switch Gyarados back since now Umbreon has no reason to Confuse Ray again, and my Gyarados as his stat drops reset, which stay that way because on the switch the Black Cat misses a Sand Attack, allowing my War Machine to bring it down with another Body Slam. Gengar comes in next. I decide to go for a Bite for some super effective damage and hoping for an Outspeed, which doesn't happen, since Gengar outsped Gyarados and connects with a Leak, luckily no para. But Bite does significantly less than I was expecting, and Karen apparently felt sad for my War Machine's little damage that she wanted to lend a hand, using Curse on the next turn, taking 50% of Gengar's HP, allowing for the KO with another Bite. In comes Murkrow, and I switch to Blastoise on a Wing Feint Attack, allowing my starter to bring the Emo Bird down with a single Ice Beam. Next is a massive threat, Vileplume, which threatens all my team with Stab Panel Dance, meaning I can't switch, because none of my Pokemon can take one Panel Dance and retaliate with a KO. So I have to take the risk and click Ice Beam, hoping for a freeze or the AI is just choosing another move. However, my beautiful Blue Turtle gets a crit Ice Beam, taking the Flower Head down without any damage done. Karen's last member is her Houndoom, and with Blastoise being healthy, I decide to just click Surf, only to be met with a Crunch that dealt around 50% damage and got a special defense drop. To add salt to the wound, Surf is just shy away of the KO. But given that Houndoom is at a very low health, I predict the max potion and click Surf again for a eye roll, but don't really get it, leaving the Hellhound again with a Slither. Now this is getting dangerous for my blue buddy, because another Crunch might bring him down, so I swap for Quagsire, hoping he can take the Crunch more comfortably, and it does look like a 3-hit KO, this allowing me to click Surf and finish the battle against the last Elite Four member. And now I have reached the final boss of the Pokémon League. The Johto and Kanto League champion, the Dragon type expert Lance. This is not a battle I was excited for, but here goes nothing. Battle starts with a Gyarados Honor battle. Luckily, my Gyarados outspeeds and connects with the Bodily Slam for a little above half HP in damage and gets a secondary paralyze, getting retaliated with a very weak Surf, allowing me to click Body Slam again, but I get a low roll, and his Blood Snake survives on the red, but gets paralyzed, not being able to move. I decide to use this momentum to switch to my Ice Beam Cannon Blastoise, because I want to get ready for his Dragon types. However, this careless decision gets severely punished, as Lance goes for a Flail, a physical move that deals more damage the lower the user's HP. This results on my beloved starter taking almost 50% HP upon entering. Not ideal. But since his Gyarados is paralyzed, I know Blastoise can outspeed, allowing me to click Strength and bring it down. Lance calls in his first Dragonite, and I am guessing this is the one with Thunder, and with Blastoise being at almost half HP, I'm not willing to take the risk and switch to Quagsire, and my suspicion is confirmed when Dragonite goes for a Thunder. This allows me to come in without being punished and click Ice Punch, but Lady Luck seems to be spelling upon me as Dragonite goes on a Hyper Beam without a crit for almost 50%, and Quagsire connects with an Ice Punch for a good chunk of damage, giving me the KO next turn since Dragonite needs to recharge. Lance's second Dragonite comes in, and I can't really risk a crit on the switch, so I just continue with the Ice Punches. This time taking a very low damage Twister and leaving Dragonite with around 20% HP left. The next turn is a hard one, because I basically have two options. I switch and risk a crit Hyper Beam, which will definitely KO any of my Pokemon, or I stay in and go for Ice Punch and hope Lance clicks Twister again or misses. I decided on the latter, not wanting to take the risk of a crit, but in this case the most predictable outcome is what happened. And with an Hyper Beam, my Quagsire goes down. This sucks. Not only because I lost my only ground type, I also lost one of my earliest encounters, and that has put in so much work for the team. Rest in peace, my beautiful blue Salamander. However, I take the opening Quagsire left for us to bring Blastoise in and click Ice Beam for the revenge KO. Lance's last Dragonite is up next, and I simply click Ice Beam since I got no other options for a one-hit KO. And my amazing starter outspeeds and one-hit KOs the last dragon. Charizard takes the field, and after hitting a very weak Hyper Beam, it drowns with a Surf, leaving only Aerodactyl left, and I don't want to play for the crit, so I swap out for Slowking, which takes around 40% on the switch, and on the recharge turn I can go for a stab boosted Surf for the KO. And the League. I may leave victorious over this last battle, but at the price of a very important team member. If you are not aware, there is another region that me and my team have to go through in order to fight the actual final boss of Pokémon Silver, Pokémon Trainer Red. And given that I just lost my only answer to his Pikachu, I need to do some research. Without a ground type to choose defensively, my only option is to defeat the electric types without allowing them to move, and there is only one Pokemon that has both a decent speed stat and can learn Earthquake, Poliwrath, which I have actually never used this Pokemon before, so I'm excited. I'm excited to welcome to the team another amphibian-based Pokemon, Poliwag, which quickly turns into a Poliwhirl, and after clearing the radio machine missing part side quest, I can visit Bill's grandfather, and upon showing him my former champion Staryu, he gives me a Water Stone, allowing me to evolve Poliwhirl into Poliwrath, making my team once again ready to defeat the Kanto gym leaders. I decide to take this by their natural order, mainly because they aren't that hard to defeat, bar some special mentions, which we'll talk about later, but first, in comes Brock. Which, being a rock type specialist and someone my Blastoise knows very well, I decide to let it teach the first gym leader he ever fought a good lesson. There is nothing that Brock's rock type team can do against a slightly over-leveled Blastoise, as Surf KOs every single one of Brock's Pokemon, and a one that it doesn't want it KO can't really do much in return, so the 9th batch is done. This is the next challenge, and now, if you ever played any Gen 2 Nuzlocke, you should know that Misty is known as the run-ender. Her very fast Starmie can be very dangerous with Ice Beam and Surf. Lapras and Quagsire are both fairly tanky and can dish some damage. But I have an ace up my sleeve, or should I say, a star up my sleeve, because now that I am in Kanto, I can finally get my MVP from the last Nuzlocke to his full potential once again, because I can get access to the Psychic TM, and given that it already chose Thunderbolt as the reward from the last Nuzlocke win, all it needs is to learn Recover by level up and evolve using Earth, Hell, Waterstone, teach it Psychic and Surf, and Misty gets demolished by her very own ace Pokemon, because Thunderbolt takes care of Starmie and Golduck and Lapras, and Surf takes Quagsire down. Next is Lieutenant Surge, the electric type specialist, and the true test for my newest team member, since he is the only Pokemon I have that might outspeed and deal super effective damage in return. I have to lead with it, and I could go on and on about the mindset and strategy behind this battle, but truth is, I just clicked Earthquake 5 times in a row. And I won the battle. Neat! Erika. She is next, and for her I have one word. Revenge! For all the times you made me reset and play through Pokémon Blue, and for the annoyance of only being easily defeated on the first attempt. I give you my 11 levels over level fuming ice from its mouth, my official starter for this series, the never melt ice holding Blastoise. Sorry about that, I just have some bad dreams with her. Anyway, Blastoise outspeeds and KOs every single Pokemon from Erika's grass team with an Ice Beam. Good riddance. The following challenge is against someone different from the last one through Kanto. Given that Koga is an Elite Four member in this game, Janine, her daughter, took his place as the Fuchsia City gym leader. And she is easily the weakest among the Kanto gym leaders, probably because she is the most inexperienced. Her levels are just sad at this point in the game, with her strongest Pokemon being at a lower level than Claire's ace Kingdra. So being a poison type specialist, and Slowking just runs through her team with Psychic. Sabrina is up next, and her team retains the same weaknesses from the last generation, not being very bulky on the defensive side, which allows for my attacking violence machine Gyarados to come into the battle, guns blazing and blasting body slams everywhere, fetching me my next badge. With only two badges left, Blaine is next, and he's a fire type expert, so just like on last generation Slowking just spams Surf, and there is nothing Blaine can do to retaliate, so easy badge. The final badge of Kanto is the only one that might pose a challenge, this being Gym Leader Blue, our old rival is back, with a very threatening team, but I'm used to kicking this guy's butt by now, so I lead into battle with my starter Blastoise, as he leads Pidgeot, and this screen is actually kinda nostalgic, not gonna lie. And just like in old times, I can safely click Ice Beam, leaving the bird with a slither of HP and taking a weak wing attack in return, allowing for the KO in the next turn with another Ice Beam. Exeggutor is up next, although this might look like a tough spot, him being a grass type and all, the only move he can actually threaten Blastoise with is Solar Beam, which takes 2 turns for it to deal some damage, and since my Blastoise outspeeds it, and I just click Ice Beam twice and get the coconuts down from the tree. Alakazam is next, and since not even a crit Psychic can kill, I am able to go for a Strength on the first turn, dealing around 20% damage, because Alakazam went for a Reflect, reducing my damage. On the next turn, Blastoise takes a powerful non-crit Psychic and retaliates with a crit Surf, giving me the knockout on one of my opponent's biggest threats. With that menace out of the way, Gyarados comes in, and I have just the answer for it, my beloved Starmie that comes in on a very weak Twister and can outspeed and KO Gyarados in the next turn with a Thunderbolt. The next opponent is Arcanine, and I don't really think about my next move because, well, water beats fire, so I just click Surf, only to be reminded how easily and quickly a Nuzlocke can turn on you, as Arcanine goes for an extreme speed that crits, leaving my beautiful star at 15% HP left, but luckily Surf is still a one-hit KO, so crisis averted, but still a good reminder to always plan ahead. Blue last team member is Rhydon, and without the threat of a priority move, I know Surf is a KO and Starmie can outspeed it and just finish this battle with a win. And finally, it's time for the final battle of the Nuzlocke, and the battle that's going to declare which Pokémon gets the title of Pokémon Champion and moves on to the next generation. So after climbing through Mount Silver, at the top I meet Pokémon Trainer Red for the final showdown. On the first turn, Red leads with Pikachu, and I send out my only answer, Poliwrath. This is very risky, it's all I've got to battle this Demon Mouse. I click Earthquake, but Pikachu outspeeds and lands a charm, lowering my attack by 2 stages. This means Earthquake is just shy of the KO and Red can full restore his Pokémon on next turn. This repeats for another turn, but the third Earthquake gets crit, bringing Red's biggest threat down. Espeon is next and I have a plan. But I need Espeon to either not click Psychic or not crit, since my calcs tell me that Poliwrath can survive 1 Psychic, allowing me to go for a Rain Dance. Next turn I switch for Slowking, which resists Psychic for a very low damage and can retaliate with a Rain boosted Stab Surf, leaving Espeon on a slither of health. And with another weak Psychic tank, Slowking can defeat the Espercat with another Surf. This makes Snorlax take the field, and this is exactly why I taught my Slowking the Toxic TM just to deal with this monster. After connecting with the Toxic and tanking a very powerful Body Slam from Snorlax, Slowking has done his job for this fight. That means I can switch to my Gyarados on a 30% damage Body Slam and on the perfect turn for effect to wear off, meaning my Gyarados can attack at full power with a Body Slam, leaving Snorlax in a ramp for him to hit another Body Slam, but fall to the poison damage. I planned so hard for this Pokémon, it's not even funny, and it's actually nice to see my plan work. Taking the field now is Red's Blastoise, and my team is not looking very healthy at the moment, so the only one that can take the rest of the challenge on without sacrifices is my first Pokémon, Blastoise, which gets switched into another battle on a failed Blizzard. And what another battle, because this was just a slugfest of my Blastoise spamming Strength and Red's Blastoise spamming Surf until I come out victorious with less than 50% HP left. Next is another threat, Venusaur, and with how weak my team is, I can only click Ice Beam and hope for the best. I outspeed, Ice Beam connects for around 80% damage, and Venusaur goes for a Solar Beam, giving me a free turn to fire another Ice Beam and defeat Venusaur. If he went for Giga Drain, this would probably be a wipe. However, I stay unpunished as Charizard, Red's final Pokémon, joins the battle. I got no other option than clicking Surf, which leaves Charizard at really low health, but he retaliates with a weak Flamethrower, giving me the chance to tank another Flamethrower on the following turn and defeat Charizard and Red with a final Surf. If he had chosen Slash or Wing Attack instead of Flamethrower, I could have lost my starter. But fate had other plans and I complete the Pokémon Silver Continuation Nuzlocke with only 1 death and in 1 attempt. Feels good. And to join my former champions of Blastoise, Gyarados, Starmie and Tentacruel, the newly crowned Johto champions of Slowking and Poliwrath get de-evolved into their base form and move on to the next Pokémon challenge in Pokémon Sapphire. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and please never stop being yourselves. Peace.